Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, "As we cultivate the garden of the mind, divine ideas take root and grow into living expression." And that's our journey right there. Divine ideas are always being sown, but they only grow where the soil is ready. Today, we are looking at the inner garden. That inner are the soil so that those ideas can actually take root and grow. Imagine, if you will, with me, Jesus teaching by the Sea of Galilee. Maybe there's a slight breeze coming off the sparkling waters. And gathered around him are farmers and fishermen, regular folks. They've come to listen. People who understand soil, seed, weather, and work. He tells them this: a sower, or a farmer, goes out to the field and he spreads the seeds generously. Some of these seeds fall on the hardened path, and the birds come and take them away. Some fall on the rocky ground, and the seed starts to spring up fast, but it withers because there's no depth here. Some of the seeds fall among the thorns, and as it starts to grow, it gets choked out by the weeds. And some fall on the good, that prepared soil, that soil that produces a harvest beyond anything anybody expected. So, same seed, different soil. After Jesus told this story, his disciples asked him why he taught in parables. Jesus said this in a nutshell: people hear at the level they are willing and able to hear. A parable reveals truth to the heart that is open, and then it sounds just like a farming story, perhaps, to the heart that is not ready or is closed off. In other words, the condition of the soil determines what the seed becomes. Now, let's turn this metaphor, this parable, metaphysically. The sower is divine mind, the big good, always giving, always offering fresh ideas, guidance, clarity, and solutions. The giving never stops. Never stops. The seed is the divine idea itself, whole, complete, perfect potential. And the four types of ground are our states of consciousness. This hardened ground represents resistance, closed-mindedness, stubborn places in us. The rocky ground is the shallow places where we maybe get excited at first, but we don't stay with it long enough for it to develop into anything, for it to take root. The thorns are the ground that is overcrowded. That place where there's so many distractions or overthinking or overdoing, we choke out anything new. And the good ground is the receptive, prepared consciousness that welcomes the idea, that divine idea, and brings it into expression. Excuse me. Charles Fillmore, the other co-founder of Unity, said, "Every idea is a seed, and it will bring forth according to the character of the soil of the mind in which it is planted." Myrtle and Charles are pointing to the same truth in consciousness. They're saying that the ground determines the harvest or the demonstration, the readiness. Let me give you an example from my own life. When that divine idea of ministerial school first was dropped into my awareness, it was a pure seed. It had all the potential, but it fell right into a patch of thorny ground. Old ideas, bunch of weeds, limitations. It was thick in there, especially the ones of unworthiness and what have you. Thoughts like, you're too old, you're not a polished speaker, you're not good enough. And if you become a minister, you're going to have to set a good example, and you're riddled with faults. So those were the thorns. Those were the weedy thorns. And they choked that divine idea out more than once. I would feel the call, and then the weeds would rise up and smother it. It wasn't until I got honest about the condition of the soil, of that soil, that anything changed. I had to use a denial in the unity way, not pretending the weeds weren't there because they certainly were, but withdrawing the power I had been giving them. I had to say, these useless beliefs have no authority in my life. And once I cleared that space, I could affirm something true, something new. I said, I am willing, I am teachable, and I am called. Besides, I am equipped because the spirit within me equips me, supplies for me all I need in perfect timing. That is when the soil shifted. That's when the seed finally had room to grow. So let's bring this into our lives right now. This is where we check our soil. Or you could check your oil. That's always a good idea too, but not right now. So to soften the path, if you're where it's hardened, you ask yourself, and I ask myself, where am I resistant? Where do I shut down before I even listen? What idea have I dismissed without even considering it? Where am I saying, I already know that, instead of, I am willing to see with new eyes? Secondly, smoothing those rocky places. Where do I stay on the surface? Where do I avoid the depth? So ask yourself, where do I start strong and quit and give up before anything takes root? What practice would give me depth if I stayed with it? If I stayed with it instead of walking away before the miracle happens? And then clearing the thorns. Where in my consciousness is overcrowded? I ask yourself, where am I overthinking, overdoing, or holding on to that old idea that chokes out clarity? What needs to be released so something new can breathe? And finally, number 4, nourishing that good soil. Where am I already open and receptive? So ask yourself, what divine idea is already trying to grow in me? So what affirmation or practice would feed it today? And here's the challenge. Okay, you ready? Choose one patch of soil in your consciousness, in the garden of your consciousness this week, and tend it on purpose. Just one. Softening, deepening, clearing, or nourishing. Pick the one that's calling you. If you don't know, then the magic is in the silence. Go ye therefore and ask, and it shall be revealed. Divine Mind is always abundantly sowing. Always. Our work is to prepare the ground, to prepare our consciousness.